This video will focus on the coach's strategy and scenario. Sport coaches engage in a variety of behavior in an attempt to influence the motivation, the thought, and the feeling and performance of their athlete. Two social cognitive theories of motivation that are well suited to the study of coaching environment and their cognitive, affective, and behavioral implications for sport participants are achievement goal theory and self-determination theory. We are presenting you the coach's use strategy and scenario based on self-determination theory and on achievement goal theory. The social environment created by an authority figure like the coach has the potential to influence an individual's motivation for participating in an activity via the satisfaction or via the thwarting of the three basic needs like autonomy, competency, and relatedness. Based on the self-determination theory, the goal is to create a quality of motivation among athletes. The quality of motivation is related to the satisfaction of the three basic psychological needs: competency, autonomy, and relatedness support. In terms of didactic and pedagogy, and while we interact with athletes, we are supporting a motivational style, allowing to support or thwarting the three basic psychological needs. When we are supporting autonomy, we are considering the athlete preference, we are providing choice and spending time to explain the usefulness of the task. When we are supporting competency, we are setting concrete objectives, providing challenging tasks and tailored feedback. When we are supporting relatedness, we are investing time and energy with our athletes and with our staff. We are unconditionally supporting them. Finally, we are facilitating the free expression of their feeling. We are thwarting autonomy when we are using the reward and punishment systems, when we are imposing our ID, and when we are not explaining the usefulness of the task. We are thwarting competency when we are using unclear goals, when you are comparing permanently the athlete and using inconsistent feedback. We are thwarting relatedness when we behave as distant and adopting a cold attitude, providing conditional support or hurting the athlete ego. The coaching are supporting autonomy in listening player opinion, in promoting their active participation, in letting them the opportunity to take their own decision, and in providing more responsibility to athletes. The coaches are supporting competency in investing time with athletes, in focusing more on the process than on the result, in providing adapted feedback to athletes.
The coaches are supporting relatedness in adopting empathic attitude, in being close and helpful with its athletes, in promoting interrelations and good communication between athletes and between staff and athletes, and in focusing on social skills with cooperative tasks. A number of different coach observation systems exist. Here is presented the self-determination climate observation system. These systems is about the support versus the thwarting of the three basic psychological needs for autonomy, competencies, and relatedness. First, we will talk about the support and thwarting of autonomy. In reading this grid of observation and attitude, the coach has to question him or herself on what I am used to do and why, and what I should or could do. First, the autonomy needs. Coach attitude and behavior focus on acting according athletes interested, needs and preferences, in taking the player's point of view, in offering choice to athletes. For example, a controlling coaching style represents the use of tangible rewards, of controlling feedback, excessive personal control, intimidation behaviors, and conditional regard. Second, for the competencies, the coach should behave to help athletes in providing regular positive feedbacks, recognize their effort and offers expectation for learning. In contrast, rare or non-existent feedback outlining the best player, encouraging rivalry between athletes, foster the thwarting of the need. Third, for relatedness, the coach should show unconditional regard. He or she is interested by their players, ensures that all athletes are included in exercise. In contrast, restricting opportunities of interaction and conversation and showing lack of concern for athletes foster thwarting of this need. Based on the achievement goal theory, the different behavior of the coach are declined along a motivational climate observation system labeled TARGET. This observational system is based on 6 dimensions related to the task, what athletes are asked to learn and what they are told to do, authority, the type and frequency of participation in the decision-making process. For example, participation of athletes in the decision-making process regarding training and the establishment and enforcement of regulation. The third dimension is recognition, that is the procedure and practice used by the coach to motivate and recognize athletes for their progress and achievements. The fourth dimension of the target is the group, that is the way in which players are distributed in group, both in training and competition situation. And finally, no, not finally. And the fifth dimension is evaluation, that is the standards that are established for the learning and conduct of athletes, the supervision procedure, and the assessment of the achievement of those standard models, as well as the methods to provide information on the achievements achieved. And finally, the sixth and last dimension is time. The time given to complete the task and the training program of the players. If that time is too short, only some player will achieve the goal. In order to create a climate of involvement in the task, it is defended that each athlete must advance at their own pace. This table presents the strategies used by a coach adopting a task-oriented coaching style. A coach adopting this style proposes challenge and diversity during the training session as he favors self-referenced goals. These coaching styles involve training sessions favoring private and individual progress, with no comparison with the other athletes of the training group. The coach adopting a mastery-oriented coaching style used the feedback of its athletes to decide the contents of the training sessions. Otherwise, a coach adopting this coaching style favors cooperative learning and promotion of peer interactions. His pedagogy highlights individual improvement based on the mastery of the task at hand and not on outperforming other athletes. The time given to complete the exercise is based on the personal capabilities. Thus, this type of coaching styles involve an individualization of the training program and the training session. As a rule, a mastery-oriented coaching style is clearly likely to allow athletes growing in an atmosphere favoring the satisfaction of basic psychological needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. In contrast, the training session of a coach focusing on an ego-oriented coaching styles are characterized by a lack of variety and challenge. The athletes do not participate in the construction of the contents of the training session, as the coach decides without using the feedbacks of its athletes. The coach adopting an ego-oriented coaching styles foster public and social comparison in the exercise proposed in the training session. He is likely to form group based on ability, highlighting the importance of outperforming other athletes. His pedagogy is focused on winning rather than on learning new abilities. The use of a performance-oriented coaching style is likely to increase athletes' stress and not to optimize the learning of athletes during training sessions.
We will propose several scenarios related to problems experienced by the coaches or player. In this case, we suggest several preventive behaviors that the coach will use to overcome this problem. If a player lacks motivation because of the non-attainment of its objective, a coach behavior to prevent this issue could be to help athletes focusing on learning. Another preventive behavior could be to assist athletes that new objective. This objective should not be one of the final position of the player in the competition, but rather on the competences developed by the players during competition. In other words, it is important to help athletes setting mastery goals and not only performance goals. As the rule, the coach could orient the athletes toward learning and master goal. A second problem experienced by players could refer to acceptance of behavioral norm. In this case, coaches could promote appropriate value and behavior such as cooperative value, for example. In particular, workshop on group dynamics could be conducted with the player in order to modify behavior which are the cause of the problem. A third problem could be related to athletes perceiving training sessions as not particularly motivating. Coaches could try to organize training sessions for increased basic psychological needs, for competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Coaches could also plan season using mastery goal or not performance goal. When coaches have lost the motivation to train, setting objectives in using mastery goal could be used to help coaches finding sense to their coaching practice. Setting such type of goal will help coaches satisfy their basic psychological need for autonomy and competence. Another problem refers to coaches focusing training on over competitiveness. In this case, it's important to teach coaches the importance of task-oriented behavior and to encourage self-references learning. Explaining to the coaches the different types of goals, which could be precise by coaches and athletes, and the consequences of this goal could help coaches realizing the negative effect of certain achievement goals on children. As a consequences, coaches could be able to understand the usefulness to organize their training session using mastery goal on the positive effects such goal on child behavior. Coaches could also adapt during their training session override controlling behavior. This behavior would foster athlete stress and burnout. As such, in this case, it will be particularly appropriate to teach guidelines about self-determination theory and the importance of using a supportive behavior style during training session. This coaching style would likely increase at the satisfaction of their basic psychological need for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. To help coaches adopting supportive behavior style during training session, the use of video feedback in using self-confrontation interview is an insight tool. The organize of workshop, including coaches and or athletes, could also be a promising perspective.